inside, outside of the shell, what you have there is the wick. And you can just put that here and put the plants in and have water circulating in, and the plant will be soaked into that wick and will grow. The next one is a drip system. It just drips the water just exactly where the plants are. And this water is recycled. You see here, the water that's not used comes back underneath. And then the next one is called the nutrient film technique. And I'll show you a couple of pictures that show what they look like. So here you have the roots that are directly getting the water. And here you see they use tubes, and those tubes have a whole garden is here on just that device, a whole garden. Less land with this cultivation. We can grow crops without any land right in our backyard. But this is not about these technologies. It's all the things that are happening and the research that are going on to reduce the usage of land. Here, you see vertical farming. In the future, buildings will become farms. Side of the buildings, top of the buildings. It's always interesting when I go and some places in China, and you see that on top of the buildings, people have gardens already. And in the future, these will be how people will be farming. Can you imagine if in the developing countries we adopt these? Not only we create food, but the people who will be building all these vertical devices are getting jobs. They are building, they are creating these, and we have vertical farming. And that drives intensive production on a very small footprint. Let's move to the next one and talk about health. How will people be cured in the future? I will talk about two technologies, just two, again. 3D printing. If you haven't heard about 3D printing, here's what it is about. It's existed a long time ago, and yet the last 10 years, it took a different turn because the technologies behind it started to mature. What it is that we are actually printing anything we can print. The way it works is that you build anything layer by layer. You put a layer on top. It could be plastic, it could be metal, it could be any alloys. You just build layer by layer, and you start here, you build, as you can see, it builds on top of it all the way through. What is happening, it is now mature in dentistry to use 3D printing to print prosthetics for people, and it matches them exactly. They will use a photo of the cavities, and then we'll create the model, and then we'll create and build. These are printed. They look like real, they are printed, and they match exactly the person's needs. This is a limb, and that is 3D printed, that somebody is wearing, and it matches exactly the person's needs. A person has broken the skull, and they printed exactly the part that was missing, and they put in. Now, 3D printing has gone beyond mechanical applications. In year 2030, some restaurant in the world will be printing food. You will go and get your cake, and they'll print the cake for you. Today, we cannot imagine that. But in 2030, restaurant will be printing food. Some researchers have started growing tissues, and then they will print organs for people, because so many people die in the world without having the opportunity to receive an organ from a donor. But by taking tissues from those people, those tissues will be grown, and they will be printing liver, part of the lung, part of the kidneys. They will be printed, and then you wait The doctor, they will print your organ and then put that in you like a spare part. It is not far. By the year 2030, those things will become normal. Okay? So today we think about and we say, how can people do that? It is happening slowly but fast. That may seem a contradiction to say slowly but fast. It is happening surely. That's what I meant. Wearables. I myself here, I have two wearables on me. This is an Apple Watch and this is a Fitbit. And they are monitoring part of vital signs from me. So wearables are now a huge and exploding business. What is happening here, you see all different kinds. They are taking signs and are monitoring the heart, are monitoring other signs, blood pressure, and so on everyone. So let me give you a scenario of something that we will see in our lifetime. But before that, wearables are so exploded, the market is growing so fast that more than 100 million wearables will be shipped by 2021. And the people will be spending, the revenue will reach 18 billion by 2021. 18 billion US dollars by 2021. Now, let's fast forward ourselves to 2030 and we go and see our doctor. We won't need to see the doctor for everything because the wearable in this case will be monitoring the heart. And then we will be able to download directly that, just like my watch is synced with my telephone. All the vital signs that I'm tracking on myself are going on my telephone right away. We will get the vital sign that will go to the cloud. I talk you to the cloud, and my doctor can visualize that anywhere in the world. So can you imagine bringing devices into remote villages? In remote villages, where people will have using wearables because the cost will be going down and down. Now everybody has smartphones around the world. Everybody has smartphones. So having access to very good care will not be only for the developed countries, but we will be able to have very good doctors around the world examine people and through these devices. I'm just pointing out here one scenario, but there could be many of them. Here are some diseases that I think can be attacked. Take heart failure. Somebody wakes up and they said he had heart attack and he died. Well, warning sign will be given by the wearable that will say, we are monitoring your heart, something is happening here. And will give an alarm, and the person will be in alarm and will be able to contact a doctor before it's too late. So heart failure is something. Obesity. We will have very smart scales. When you wake up in the morning and you go on the scale will take your weight, will be graphing your weight because you will input your name in it, and as you do that, the scale will communicate to you and to your doctor that something is wrong. There is a pattern recognition, something is wrong. The scale itself and also the wearables will tell you. Hypertension, continuous blood pressure monitoring. So there are a few diseases. Okay, diabetes, you could be controlling your glucose and so on, and administer the medication you need automatically. So we are going toward technological advances that make somebody to say that in the next 20 years, the world will advance at a pace and be at a place that is bigger than anything we've seen so far for millennia in the next 20 years. So it will be faster and faster. So cycle will be faster and faster. Let's talk about education for a minute. The technologies I will cover are the internet, global libraries, and the virtual office, to describe a few scenarios for you in the future. Here is what a futurist, Thomas Frey. I like Thomas Frey a lot. If you can research his name, go and read things that he says. He gathers futurists, and then he interviews them. He himself is a futurist. And they talk about things that are yet to come based on technologies. And what he says is by 2030, the world's largest internet company will be in education business. It will be in education business, and it will be a company we have not yet heard of. So the company today does not exist, but will be the largest company, internet company, in the next, by 2030. Everybody, when we talk about the internet here, everybody knows what the internet is. We use the internet to communicate. All of us are communicating. Well, the totally connected world is almost here. The only reason why I don't say it is here is simply because of the cost that is dropping. And I know there are some NGOs that are working to bring internet everywhere on the planet at affordable cost. But once we have that network of communications, what can we do with it? Today, we can access resources from anywhere in the world. Global libraries. What used to be the small library of a village is now a global library. You can have access to resources around the world, anywhere around the world. So what does it mean to us? It means to us that we need to go back and review the fundamentals of how people learn. How professors today need to stay current to be able to teach again in the future. Will we continue to have people grabbing books and reading books? We have to redesign the education model. The current education models by 2030 will be obsolete because we need to make sure that we follow every person's ability to learn and stimulate them and understand their strengths and weaknesses so that we can drive them to the peak of their performance in the areas where they're good for the greater good of humanity. So education system needs to redesign itself and needs to be reviewed. And in the developing countries, the challenge is same as the developed countries. So this is not a challenge just for the developing countries, it is for everybody. So any developing country can embrace this change, understand it, and be even ahead of developed countries because this is coming in and is coming in very fast. Today, when you go to big nations, you go to the capitals or big cities, and these are office buildings, skyscrapers. Everybody drives in the morning. For the professor who's from UCLA here, ask him a minute. Los Angeles. I'm always scared when I'm in Los Angeles because of the traffic. You can't move. It takes forever because everybody is on those highways going to work. Well, it won't be for long because these will transform themselves. People from their homes will be working using means that will enable them to be seen by their colleagues, and they will be interacting normally. Today, the technology is to use Skype. In the future, with virtual reality, you will bring everybody in a virtual environment. You don't even need to use avatars. You use yourself. Without teleporting, you will be at your home, and you will be together and see all your other colleagues, and you will be talking to yourselves, and you share documents, and you don't have to drive, and this will reduce pollution. This will reduce carbon emission on our planet. And it has another benefit, it will increase productivity. Because the time people take to go to work is a wasted time. It will increase productivity, it will give them a better life, they will stay closer to their families, and this is coming at a faster pace. But here is something for the developing countries. Having a good education is good. It is fundamental. because we can be employed by employers from anywhere in the world. Because we can be